Here on the lift, I'm just going to do a quick load test on the battery. This is just to determine on a digital tester where your battery lies with respect to the power that it makes and the voltage that it has. I'm hoping you can see that 12.73 volts. That's pretty good. This is an AGM battery. Just going to cycle through the steps. We want to check the cold crank amps. I'm going to guess it's better than 105. We're going to go 150 at our first threshold for testing and give that a poke. All right, so I was pretty darn close there. So you were making 150 cold crank amps at 12.73. So now that we know that the bar is 150, we're going to raise the bar just a little bit, just to see if we can make this bike, make this battery work for it. 149. Okay, yeah, so we are 100%. You got a great battery, 150 cold crank amps approximately at 149 at 12.74 volts. That's fantastic. So the battery's doing great. We'll take that off real quick here. Switch devices to my multimeter. And we're going to do a quick charging test just to see where your battery's at again. With battery 12.74, we knew that was true, and now we're going to start the bike. Side stand is up. Well, you got to pull the clutch. I've only got one hand. Hold on 1 second here. All right, so the bike is making fantastic voltage. 14.3 is perfect. That's with high beam on. That's 14. That's great. Okay, and this next test is basically a sort of depth of feel. We're checking your steering bearings, and you've probably noticed that there's a jack stand under your bike. This is just to lift the wheel off the ground just a little bit so that I can get a feel for the steering bearings. And the way that this is generally checked versus, disassembling the entire bike is we want to sweep through the steering without any resistance to it at all. We want the handlebars to go back and forth all the way across with no issues, no problems. Now, you're probably noticing that there's a bunch of cables and wires here, and these do, of course, offer some resistance in the sweep test. But really what we're checking for is typically, not always, but typically, it's right in the middle where you will experience, with the wheel off the ground, a little bit of resistance in the steering bearings. It almost wants to stay, stay straight versus sweeping without any resistance going right or left. And I'm noticing, based on this very, very light test, that these steering bearings are probably pretty close to needing replacement. They're not quite there yet, but pretty darn close. Now, what does this mean? Bad steering bearings typically will do a bit of a number on the front end of most bikes. You can expect bad bearings to do things like squaring off the front tire. It's going to bring the bike up here a little bit. Squaring off the front tire just a little bit. And one of the first tells of bad bearings is the way that the front tire's profile is looking and feeling. And your tire actually has a little bit of a raised area here in the center line of, if there was a center tread, the center line of the bike has got a little bit of a raised feel to it. Now, as a bike mechanic, an experienced bike mechanic, and a bike rider, in fact, you should be able to run your hand over this front tire, and it's just smooth and round, like a woman's breast. No lumps, no bumps, no nothing. It should just feel really nice. And if there is any raised edge here, any sort of not smooth profile on the tire, get the strap out of the way. It's difficult to see it with the naked eye, but if there was, then you would see it and you'd feel it, and that is the first indicator that the bearings are bad. In addition, when I sweep the bars left and right, I can clearly feel that there's just a tiny bit. So I've got the tire to tell me. I've got the affirmation of the wheel off the ground and sweeping the bearings back and forth. I think you need steering bearings. And really what this means is these bad bearings will run out this tire. And when I say run out, I just mean make it wear unevenly, and it's already doing that now. Make it wear unevenly. It can lead to uneven brake pad wear and lead to bad fork seals. It can make fork seals prematurely expire. They're not going to explode, nothing like that at all. But it just means that what life you would expect to get from steering or from fork seals, you are going to get a lot less because the steering bearings are basically torturing them. This leads obviously to the rear of the bike because the front tire leads the rear tire. You'll notice that the rear tire starts to get a bit of a squared off look to it. And I can feel that actually as I run my hand over this tire, that there's a little bit, you might even be able to see it on camera. There's a little bit of a squared edge on here. It's not bad, but based on what you're doing, I'm going to recommend that you get your steering bearings done sooner than later. You've got lots of life left on these tires, and I mean lots. What year is this tire? This tire is made in the 28th week of 2016. Wow, she's an oldie. But the condition of the rubber looks really good, and wow, you got lots of life on them too. Here, and the same on the rear. I think you've got a, what is this tire? I don't see a date code on it. Okay, I'm going to keep this video very brief. Here it is, right here. The 20th, it's upside down, but it is the second week of 2016. So they're both made in the same year. Lots of life on this tire. Looking really good, but bad steering bearings will ruin these tires. You won't get all the mileage that you want out of them. I have already checked the brake oil. This brake oil is 99% pure. I haven't checked the front yet, but I will. Checked your oil. Oil is absolutely beautiful. Motul, I think, is in there. And brand new brake pads. I'm not sure if you can see in there with this lighting, but that there is a brand new brake pad. You can see its center screen, that sort of copper color, not the gold, but the copper. Brand new brake pads there. So lots of life, wearing evenly and looking good. The same is true on the rear. Lots of life, looking good, wearing evenly. Overall, your bike's getting a really good bill of health here. The chain is a little on the dry side. I recommend that you lube this after you've ridden. But it really is quite dry, and to get, again, life that you would expect to get out of this chain, I would absolutely lube it. Charging system is great. Heated grips, you asked me about the heated grips. They actually do work. They don't look very, very good because, like you said, the sticker blew away, but they absolutely do work. Just turn the key on, and you can see the little porch lights are sort of on there, and then you would just cycle through the heat ranges of where you want the grips to be, and then back down, and then I guess you just press it, turn it off. It's a shame that blew away, but anyway, there it is. All right, sir, that is pretty much your bike. You're doing great. You really are doing great on this bike. Tires are good, brake pads are good, oil is good, brake oils are good. I will check the front one. I haven't done that one yet, but I will. The rear is good. Your overflow bottle is good with coolant. And all I could really find is steering bearings that we should talk about. That's it. And last detail, this one's... Okay, your bike has been lowered. You've only lowered it by 2 centimeters, which actually isn't all that much, but I'm sure it's enough to get your feet flat on the ground, which is very important. The amount of travel that you actually have in your suspension, based on my assumption that you rode the bike from the underground garage where it's stored to here, which really isn't that far, just through normal traffic. You probably rode this bike normally, like not very aggressively, but you can see that your suspension travel, if you get in here really close, you can see that from this rubber edge down to the dust line there, that's about 6.5 centimeters. And then the clearance on your bike underneath, that's 9 centimeters. So you're going to go riding on this bike long distance. You said you're going to have stuff on the back. Put the seat back on. You said you're going to have stuff on the back, plus you. I don't think for a moment that that you are going to probably will come. Shoot this video again. I cannot. Jeez. Okay. So what I'm trying to say is I can't help thinking that you may risk bottoming out, meaning that under normal riding, nothing on the back, you commuting from the garage to here, you've got 2 centimeters of clearance underneath that bike. So now let's imagine you with stuff on the back loaded, you on the bike, and you are actually heavy braking. Eek. You might want to think about putting this bike back up. These 2 centimeters difference is the difference between what you actually get down here. The road to Revelstoke, which is long, depending on which one you take, may offer some chances, some situations where you're going to wish that you had those 2 centimeters. If you don't want to raise the bike back up, and I totally appreciate if you don't, feet on the ground is really important. Just know that when you're out there riding and you see a dip or a bump, go slow, because yikes. Okay, here we go. There might be some gas spraying around here as I'm about to evacuate the gas that's in the tank out of there. This rag in here. A bit of compressed air, seal it up. Never look at it because it always gets you in the face if you do. Here it comes. This is all the gas that's in your gas tank coming out. Switch the other container. The gas actually looks really good. And I hope we run out in a second here because, yeah, because I don't have enough to carry it all. Anyway, yeah, this gas so far is looking really good. So we're gonna switch the hoses because this is fast volume. It's just a big hose and the gas just shoots out of there. And just looking for water content. It's actually looking really good. It doesn't even smell like. Give you a close-up of the gas. Looking really good here. It doesn't even smell like gas. That's the weird part. Okay, we're gonna switch. Sorry, the compressor's so loud. Here's the last of the gas that came out of your gas tank. There. Gotta pull the lid off of this guy. And it's a little murky right now, so I'm going to pause the video. It's also really loud. I'm going to pause the video, let this settle, and we'll see what we find. Okay, Ant, final installment. Noticed this, and I was like, wow, dude, this is amazing. So this is a close-up of the shifter on your bike, and I think you already know about this, but my goodness, talk about a close shave. This is the shifter, and this is your side stand, which is custom installed. A side stand for lowering the bike. The spring you can see here is right by the shifter, but watch this. Look how close that is, bro. Every shift you make, oh, dude, you're giving it a haircut.